Hey, I'm Cyclon, and with GDG finally releasing the Atlas skill tree, I thought it's time to take a look at it, say what I think is going to be a very nice core to have, where you can then adjust to different strategies, and 5 strategies for you that you could consider running for you to make a good profit in week 1, 2, and maybe then switch in between or adapt further on later. So, first things, I think this is a pretty nice core. With the removal of Atlas bonus, like bonus completion and Awakener level, I think getting early on, getting that pseudo map Atlas bonus is important in the sense of taking these adjacent map drop chance and then taking map drops have a chance to be a tier higher, adding up with 15, 15, 15, 15, and then 5, 5, 5, 5, and that is 30, that is 25, 80, there was somewhere a bit more. Here's a 4, there are 4s, okay, and with that we have the last 20. Okay, I knew it added up. So with this, your top here and these two, you have 100% chance to get a map tier higher, which is again equals to 100 normal bonus completion in the old Atlas, and then you make your Awakening bonus yourself too. But I think instead of going like, okay, straight up saying I want the Guardian map drops, I would say going for the free Harbinger, making it possible to drop currency items instead of shards, which I think will be quite good, and then using First Wave to have a chance of a powerful Harbinger boss, which I and many people I've read to assume too that it's going to be like, okay, you have like 3 Harbingers in the map, and they're all going to be vacuumed into one big Harbinger boss, and it's like having 6 then. So he's going to take all Harbingers you have, combine them, and then double them, triple them, or make them powerful. In 1 in 4 maps you can have that. So with Harbinger you have a nice consistent bonus result per map. Then we have the Spoils of War for basic jewelry with rare monsters and basic currency and rare jewelry, which is nice to have, especially for Chaos Recipe early on, or just selling them. And then rare monsters duplicated if you're not able to chisel orc, maybe even chisel orc wall, that is nice to have. And lastly we have a free shrine and the strong boxes, which strong box I think is quite powerful too. We have Twice Tempted, we have Secret Operations, so we have at least 1 strong box per map. Early on we can use for 4 chaos map device ambush for 5 chests. With a 6% chance, 5 chests, it does add up. You sooner or later you're going to get a Scarab Strongbox, which is nice to have. Even if not, it's free map quantity. Not free, you pay for chaos, but it's an easy way to get map quantity. It's an easy way to get items, gear. If they're corrupted, you could early on pick up this one too. To get corrupted ones, maybe they're going to have the 6-link, so you have the jump boost in 6-link too. And lastly in the middle, well, we're not going to take this last, but the last one I want to cover is just picking up Commissioned Officer for early on until you have your mob completion. Then once you have your maps done, you can spec out this, go over the side, and from here then you can pretty much just go in any direction. And the first thing I want to cover actually hasn't even to do anything with not first thing, but the first strategy I want to cover hasn't really do anything with the map Atlas, and it's heisting. Now many people already had heard enough about Heist. The Spicy Sushi made a video about it. Firegrass, Path of Mass have made videos about it before. I just want to quickly cover it, and you can go to the other content creators to then get a deeper understanding about it. So there's Heist in 3 different stages. Just saying, okay, during the acts I'm going to buy a few contracts. Before I kill Kitava, I run the contracts to get a bit of chaos recipe, maybe some uniques, and then I'm out. I'm going to ignore Heist from now on, and you're done with it. Sell all your rogue markers, sell the rest of the contracts, whatever, and you're good to go. The second one would be, okay, I go into Heist and I'm going to de-level at a specific level where I just had my power push. For example, I think Toxic Rain was at 62, it gets a power push. So you're going to bounce between 62 and 63 and just going to bounce up and down. And when you say, alright, I run enough heist, you have a lot of unwills which you then can sell, or you could go even a step further and do then continuing with heist and doing grand heist. But quickly for the de-leveling, it's going to give you a lot of chaos, a lot of jewelry, a lot of chaos recipe, a lot of uniques, a lot of generic items, maybe div cards, maybe stack decks. And it's definitely going to stack up quickly, while it's not any risk. You don't have stronger getting enemies at that point yet. So you have no risk of your build suddenly breaking and you need to spend money to make it. So you can continually invest in something for the first few days that you know will rise. For example, invest all currency in Exalts. And then on day 3, after the uniques dropped in price and your Exalts risen in price, you can then go buy the uniques and you're good to go for Atlas. And the last thing, like I said, it's going further with heist, equipping your rogues with rogue gear, maxing their level, and then even going as far as running grand heist, alternate quality gems, replica uniques, and even now the real world bases are going to be super good. It's going to definitely be things that will sell quickly, that will sell easily, so you could just go for that, and you run your own grand heist. You're going to buy contracts in bulk, or you're going to buy the grand heist in bulk from the map runners. And you're just going to spend a week or 2 in heist and you're going to amass a crazy amount of currency. But again, that is not for everybody, so I will now stop with talking about heist and go for the first thing that you can do on the Atlas. Bossing. Now bossing again has several stages. The first stage would be, okay, I'm going to run the new bosses. I'm going to traverse from this core tree over to the Exarch, most likely on this line, so you can pick up this and then pick up Exarch, and then going to do maybe some delirium action around it, some ritual action around it, just some stuff that is in the area so you don't have to spec too far out of it, or maybe do Blight, which I will cover later. And you can run the burning Exarch, Zeroing Exarch, sorry, and you will just run the boss loop over and over, kill the mini boss, kill the big boss, or you're going to say, don't kill the mini boss, don't kill the big boss, sell them and just run the maps. This will depend on your build, your playstyle, and if you like the boss or fighting the boss or not. Or you could do the right side with the Eater of Worlds, the same technique, saying, alright, I'm going to run maybe Legion, maybe Harvest, maybe Abyss, or Strong Boxes, Harbinger, whatnot, and say, okay, I'm going to run this over and over again and either sell or run it myself, and you're good to go. That would be the simplest way of bossing. Then you could say, alright, I want to get a step further. I already ran the new bosses so much, I know the old bosses, I can offer my skill as a bossing service. So I'm going to others and go to maybe the Forbidden Trove Discord or on the trade channel, or make a post in the forum and say, alright people, I'm a boss killer, these are my prices for the boss, maybe asking for 50 chaos for an Eater of Worlds kill. I don't know how hard it will be, but people do want the boss kills to get the access to the Void Stones. So you can look what others are asking for, and based on that do your pricing, and maybe offer like a money back guarantee if you fail it or something, so people are more likely to pick you. And then you're going to do bossing service for a while and you're good to go. Now you can run your own bosses and run other bosses for even more boss running, and everything's fine. You're going to make a lot of currency with that too. And now the third and final step of bossing, which might maybe for some people will require to be running a duo or with a support, because that will definitely make it easier. Running invitations. Now invitations, I'm not just talking about running them right, but running them at a high quality, like 70 quality or maybe even 80 quality, or however crazy you want to go. And running them at a high quality, then selling the bases you're going to get from them, selling the special items you're going to get them. You're going to get Awakener gems, which will be pricey early on. You will sooner or later going to fight Maven. Depending on what invitation you do, you will fight Shaper, you will fight Elder, you will fight Cyrus. Maybe you're going to do the Fiat invitation. There's a lot of money to make, or a lot of currency to make from invitations. However, the difficult ceiling is quite, the difficult level is quite high, and the ceiling can be even higher. So for that, it does require a bit of knowledge about the bosses, and maybe, as mentioned, it might require a support for some people if they don't know how they can do that solo. However, if you're able to use it solo, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. So that is the bossing section. And the next is now a bit simpler, a bit easier, and a lot less investment needed, as the bossing maps will be pricey early on. And I'm talking about Blight. So from this core tree, you could travel, let's say, over here, take 2 nodes, take 3 nodes, and you reach the big Blight cluster, which will give you a chance to contain a Blight encounter, chance to contain an additional Blight encounter, chance to get chance to contain blighted maps if you open chests that do have the oil reward. Then you can go down here and going to pick up even more Blight. Now, I actually think immune response might not be needed, or might not be recommended rather, because it's going to make it faster. If your build still struggles with a normal Blight, you don't have to add immune response to it. It will make it faster, but it's not required. I would also want to mention here that the best maps for Blight will be Flooded Mines, Toxic Sewers, and Waste Pool. But by no means you just have to run these, you can't run any other map. They're just going to be quite condensed, so they're going to force the Blight lanes to merge more often. So that means if you have less lanes, they're going to be a lane with Blight rewards, with more Blight rewards, more oils. And lastly, oil extractor, the distilled fungus. Now, we don't know how good it is going to be yet, but it might be quite good, or it might be an absolute bust. And lastly, we can over here move upwards and pick up Blight Spawn to have a chance of higher tier and an additional boss. So with that one boss, we're going to always get at least one jewelry item drop that's anointed if we use it combined with distilled fungus. And if you want to go even further and already have a good map favorite pool, or maybe even have all T16s, we could use a favorite system with Wars in the Wind to gain a lot of toxic sewers that have the enchantment Blight encounter. Then we could add on top the Sextant mod Blight encounter, and then we have a random Blight encounter with like 10-15% chance, and finally we have a 20% chance for additional encounter. So we can have 2 minimum with confirming with the Scarab and with the Sextant, and then we can have we can have 3 Scarab, Sextant, and the map enchantment, or 2 without the map enchantment. Then we have 15% chance for a not random spawn one, and additional 20% for one. So we can have up to 5 encounters in a map if we truly min-max it and luck out. And that's going to yield so many maps. Also, something that we do know works from Legion is if you use a Gilded Blight Scarab, every Blight encounter in that map is going to be affected by it, not just the one that the Blight Scarab itself spawns. So there's definitely potential in the Blight, and you could even combine it with other things that are around it, like your focus on the left side. So again, you could go for the Searing Exarch, you could go for Delirium or Ritual. There are a lot of options you can do, or you could go even move up here for getting the Shaper Guardians, Elder Guardians synthesized, or actually even move to Conqueror to get the Conqueror maps, but that will spend more points, so you might not have that early on. So again, the core setup would be something like this. The extended core would then picking up the Blight nodes, and then you could do with the rest of your nodes, do whatever, go for Delirium, go for the Exarch, and just do the loop over and over again, run the Exarch, but actually running Blight and just pushing the Exarch on the side, which would definitely be a good thing. After we have covered Blight, the next step would be covering something on the right side. And on the right side, I think the most interesting thing early on would be Harvest. Now, it definitely isn't as powerful late game as it used to be in the previous league with the not unique watchstones, with the platinum watchstones, but I think it's still quite powerful enough for you to run it early on and craft. Now, this does require you to have some crafting knowledge and some knowledge which bases to craft upon on, but if you do have that, or if you are able to research that, you could also check out my document. If you take a look at this document, you will see that I have taken, this is based on Spicy Sushi's 3.15 Harvest Guide, which at this point I think is private. So this was something I copied out of it and then adapted to my own opinion because I wanted to run some Heist. with I think the tier list is about the same, but what to craft upon is completely self-researched because I just deleted all that part and just figured it out myself to kind of learn crafting better. But basically there is a list here with what I would say is a quite nice thing to craft, specific crafts upon. If you don't have any knowledge yourself, you could take this as a basis and then do your research based upon that, what to actually craft on. So yeah, this is what I think is a nice core tree, and from there, again, we move for the harvest, which we have Call of the Grove for harvest early on. If the sextant is cheap enough, you could go for the sextant directly after you acquired any void stone. And here you would pretty much just want any quick map like Atoll or Mesa that you can run quickly. We would also pick up bump crops. Now bountiful harvest isn't needed, but I would at least go up to the tiny nodes just so we have that. And up here we do have the Heart of the Grove for additional for a chance to get Sacred Blossom and a chance for the crops to not wilt. It's 1 in 10 harvest fields which is going to apply to. That is good enough. That means it's 1 in 10 times that you get a additional crafting choice option from the field. Now harvest pretty simple afterward. I mean it itself isn't simple, but going for it is simple. You just pick up the harvest nodes, you run quick maps. You're still going to do the strongbox and maybe the harbinger stuff, but really just look for the harvest, use the harvest to craft your stuff, and then move on. And now the final thing, which I think is going to be actually the end game revolving around, is Delirium. Now Delirium, not the Simulacrum, which will be one part of the end game, but I'm talking about Delirium Mirrors and Delirious Maps. Now, one thing you can do is, again, later on, when you have enough completion, you could pick up Pathological, which would apply chance for layers of Delirium on the map. And if you only have T16s that can drop, and if most of it's going to be your favorite map, let's say City Square, because it's a pretty good map for Delirious, you would then have the Delirious map on City Square with 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%. Which is pretty good because you just need 60% with the Delusional Persecution roll notable to gain 2 unique bosses, which then have the chance for additional Splinter and Cluster Jewels. Of course, we're also going to take Compulsive Hoarder for the Delirious maps for additional rewards. And that's actually about it for the Delirious part, which we do want to take if we go for the Delirious map. Because the other stuff is for the Delirium encounter, the mirror. So when we go for a Delirious map, I would rather just go for Beyond, go for Legion, anything that adds a lot of quantity to your map. Maybe go for either of the bosses. You're already on the left side, so maybe go for Searing Exarch, for increased pack size, for influence monsters. You just want to add up the density as high as possible to gain as many splinters as possible early on, as you are not able to drop Delirium orbs. You want many splinters, as that will be your main source of income for the running Delirious maps. If you're not running something crazy like a 6-man party quant, which is an entirely different strategy which I will not cover. And now the last thing would be the Delirium Mirror. With the Delirium Mirror, on top of picking up Compulsive Hoarder and Delusional Persecution, we would pick up Descent into Madness for being able to not outrun the mirror, and the Singular Eternity for not getting outrun by the fog of the Delirium. And then we pick up that which you seek to have more chance for the Delirium. And again, we do want to add many strategies, many different league mechanics on top of it, because for every league mechanic we have an increased chance for the Delirium Mirror if we cannot guarantee it with the Sextant, which might be pricey again. We do not know yet. So we could add something like Scent of Blood. We could again add something like the Searing Exarch, as we are already on the left side. We can again take Ritual, take Essence, take Alva, Resource Reallocation, and Contested Development to run Alva more. Or we could pick up Time Dilation to have chance for all monsters in the incursions to be magic, which would mean more rewards from them, as in more splinters. And if you run Delirium Mirror, you will also have a quite good chance actually to get Delirium Orbs, which I think are pretty good to get early on, keep, and then sell a bit later after they spiked in price. Of course, if you need currency early, you might as well just sell them early. But that is about the trees. I will put in the comments, not comments, in the description, I will put the different strategies, naming them, and put the link of the tree next to them so you can check it out yourself. That being said, I hope this was informative. If it was, please let me know with a thumbs up. And that being said, have a great day and a wonderful League launch.